Hi everyone, this is Dina Toledo, and this is my video reflection for EDTC645. First, I want to say thank you to Dr. McCarty for guiding us down this journey through this class. The last 7 weeks, I have learned so much, and you did a phenomenal job. Thank you. I first want to start off with talking about STEM education and what I learned the last 7 weeks. The one big thing that I learned um, was probably a common misconception that STEM education really only happens in STEM classes, where some of those strategies that we teach in those STEM classes are now expanding to um, social studies classes and ELA classes and Spanish classes and things like that. One of the big things that um, I also learned was that, STEM education can happen anywhere, and we're incorporating maker spaces in so many forms of life, not just in classrooms, not just in schools, but these spaces are popping up everywhere. And prior to this, I didn't really know what a makerspace was. So there's actually a little bit of a backstory. I actually, in the process of starting this class and starting the semester, I actually just moved and I'm living in a new place. One of the places that I looked at prior to finding where I am now was a makerspace. And I know what you're thinking, there was a makerspace type of community. Yeah, and I didn't really know what it was. I looked at just, the apartment, and I was like, it's mediocre. But had I known now what I knew then, that makerspace community would have been a great thing to be in. And again, these spaces are not only taking over in schools and in places of education wise, libraries, things like that. They're taking over all over the place. There are whole communities and cities where people are creating. And going back to what's happening in our classrooms, we're letting the kids now take advantage and push through, and they are now becoming the teachers, the creators, the innovators. And it's not just teachers doing all of the legwork to enhance our students' education, to enhance what they already know. Um, we're doing a lot of peer education. There's a lot of PBLs happening, a lot of peer tutoring, and all of that stemmed from STEM education. Um, I remember the first time somebody said, well, let's do a PBL. And I said, I don't like this. I want to do the teaching. And after letting go of the reins, my students are just learning so much more than they would if I were just teaching them, because there's a lot that I know, but there's a lot more that they know. And when they're allowed to bring that education and bring that to the forefront of what's happening in the classroom, our kids are more engaged and they're more willing to be vulnerable and to show, okay, well, I know about this, and or I want to teach you more about it. If we're talking about a concept and somebody doesn't know, they're more inclined to hear from their peers. Okay, well, I don't know about this. What do you know? Tell me. I want to know from you. Um, and that's really what that STEM education really is all about. It's a lot of collaboration. And it's not just, oh, science, technology, engineering, and math. It's so much more than that. It's thinking deeper, thinking, seeing what the problem is, and how asking answering the question, how am I going to fix this? How can we as a group fix this problem? Um, One of the other things that I want to talk about really quickly is how, from all the things that I've learned in this class, how I've begun changing what I'm doing in the classroom. So I'm an ELA teacher. ELA, I love what I do, but after taking this class, I'm seeing that what I'm doing, I can do a lot better if I let the kids be the drivers. Um, there are a lot of strategies that I am going to be taking from this class and adding to my teacher toolbox. Um, one of those things that I'm going to be taking is allowing my students um, to share their empowerment and empower them um, to do more, to explore. Okay, here's the thought that you took this thought, and this is one thing that you really liked about this. Well, dig deeper. Why do you think that that happened? Why do you think that you're feeling this way about this? Explore those feelings and dig deeper. Now, how do you think this impacts other people? And after thinking about how it impacts other people, now how does this now impact everybody else around us? And what is the solution? Because there are always problems. We always hear about the problems, and we teach the kids the problems, but we never have them step outside the box and think of a solution, a practical, real world solution that they can implement even in school. We never take that step, especially in ELA. Also encouraging to just think deeper, and I've said that a couple of times already. Not only telling them what's happening, but okay, now why is this happening? How do you think, as not just students but as people in society, how is that going to impact you? There's a lot that I learned and I can take from this class. I also loved working with our collaborative groups, seeing our ideas and learning from people that don't just think like me or teach in places like where I teach, teachers that are teaching in different grade levels and in different academic areas. It's great to learn from. I loved working with Photon, and if you guys have been reading my post, y'all know that I named my Photon J-Lo. We learned a lot. We did a lot of exploring, and it is something that I am going to take back to school and see if this is something that we can implement there. There's just so much, and I can literally go on for the entire day about everything that I've learned about maker spaces, about the pros and cons versus student-centered versus teacher-centered learning, which is a lot of what we talked about in the very beginning of the semester. Just different things like that. And I'm happy now knowing and learning all of the things that I've learned. And again, taking that, being an ELA teacher and letting go of the reins of what's happening in class is very difficult. But after taking this class and seeing some of the things and thinking about how some of the activities that we've done, the think, pair, share activities, the 3-2-1 thinking activities, things like that, those are things that we could easily implement in classes that help not only create our students to have a STEM mindset, even in other spaces that are not STEM spaces, but allowing our students to learn in an environment of people who are critically thinking about everything that's in front of them. These are things that we're going to help our students and help us help them through life. The last thing I want to touch upon before finishing this video is how have the things that I've learned in class helped with my personal learning goals. Some of my personal learning goals prior to this class were, again, being an ELA teacher, learning in an ed tech program. I knew a lot of it would be about what are we doing in science classes or math classes and things like that, and a lot of things that I could not relate to. But after learning about what the different types of technology and how that impacts STEM classes and how that could impact social studies classes, ELA classes, and all other classes in the building, Spanish classes, different electives, and things like that. Um, I learned how to make our classes more like maker spaces. And that's what my goal is, to see what's happening, to learn best practices, so to see what I can then implement in my classes, to better my students so that they, in the long run, are prepared for what the next steps after school. Um, we know that in the future, workplaces are not going to look like what they look like now. Um, there will be a very heavy push using technology, working with technology. And I think that the more our students are prepared and thinking in a STEM way, the better off they're going to be in the long run. And so, um, again, a lot of the tool things that I've added to my toolbox, I have started implementing in my classroom. Basically, showing a topic, explaining a topic, and then letting the kids really do the legwork of learning more about it, finding out, teaching their peers, exploring with other kids, not just kids in our class, but kids in other classes too. That thinking about something deeper, um, and figuring out how to make those deeper connections. All of those things, um, yeah, as educators we talk about, but it's STEM educators that really push the boundary with that and go from there. Sorry. Um, I think that the more that we're doing that for our kids, the better off they're going to be in the long run. And once everybody in a school building is really on the same page and not just teaching out of a textbook or having the kids read and write an essay, we know that really in the long run, our kids are not going to be doing that. We know that they need to do that to check a compliance box or show that they're better than the school around the corner. But in the grand scheme of life, that's not going to be how they're successful in the future. And I think the sooner that we prepare our kids to think outside the box and see a problem and figure out ways to attack the problem, I think the better off we'll be and the better off our society will be and the more prepared our students will be for the future. And again, those are all things that I've learned in this class this semester. Um, Again, I want to thank Dr. McCarty so much. Thank you for all that you've done, all that you've taught us, all that you've let us learn, and everything that you have put on our plate so that we can not only read about things but explore learning our own way and in our own time frame to do that. Thank you so much.